Amerika, mga sangkay, mukhang may bago na namang problema. So ano kaya ito? Mga sangkay, mayroon na naman pong pumutok na balita tungkol po sa Amerika na mayroon, o mukha na naman mga sangkay, mamumroblema sila ngayon. Ito ay dahil mayroon umanong dalawa na namang malalaking bangko ang nanganganib, mga sangkay. So ano kaya ang totoo po dito? Kasi nakaraan, mga sangkay, may dalawang major banks ng Amerika ang bumagsak. Ngayon, ang tanong, ano na naman kaya itong problema ng Amerika? Yan po ang balita, mga sangkay. US banking crisis. Nakalagay po, 2 more banks in trouble. May dalawa na naman umanong bangko ng Amerika ang nanganganib ngayon, mga sangkay. Naku po, ano na naman kaya ito? Ano na naman kaya ang problema ang dumating dito, mga sangkay? Anyway, bago po natin yan umpisan, pakicheck po muna sa ibaba, mga sangkay, kung kayo na po ay nakapag-subscribe. At kung hindi pa, please pakisubscribe. Sa ibaba, may nakalagay po subscribe button. I-click nyo po yun, tapos i-click nyo rin po yung bell. At i-click nyo rin po yung all. Okay, isa pa, mga sangkay, para mas magets ng lahat. Click the subscribe below, click the bell, and click all. Okay, ganun lamang po kasimple. So, eto na, guys. US banking crisis. 2 more banks on the brink of collapse. Yan yung tanong.
Our next story is about the US banking crisis. It seems to be spreading. Yesterday, regional banks in America suffered more losses. Their stocks were in the red. They plunged by more than 10%. Investors are pulling out their money.
So, yan po yung naganap nung una, mga sangkay, na nagkaroon po ng malaking problema yung dalawang major banks ng Amerika. At ngayon, mukhang ito po ata yun. I don't know kung ito po yun. Pacific Western Bank and Western Alliance Corporation. So, I don't know kung ito po yan, mga sangkay. Pero, nanganganib umano.
They fear that more banks are on the brink of collapse.
Naku.
2 of them are in the headlines. PacWest and Western Alliance. They're both mid-sized banks. Both are said to be in trouble, and both are exploring their options, including a potential sale.
Naku, ayan na nga po. Mga sangkay, ang tanong dito, makaka-apekto ba ito kung sakali? Kung sakaling babagsak, makaka-apekto pa ito sa bansang Amerika? So, wag kayong magtataka kung dumating sa point na ang US bigla na lang pumasok talaga sa isang digmaan. Kasi, no choice eh. Pero makikita naman po natin ngayon, mga sangkay, na ang US, karaan nga, mga sangkay, pinag-usapan po natin yung patungkol sa isang malaking problema doon sa Amerika. Ito po yung tumitinding kahirapan. Pero yun yung 2019 umano, mga sangkay, karamihan po sa maagang pumanaw ay dahil nga raw po sa matinding kahirapan na dinadanas doon po sa Amerika. How much more ngayon, mga sangkay, na 2023 na? Marami ng mga major banks, o dalawa na sa major banks nila ang bumabagsak. At ang utang po nila, 31 trillion US dollar. Ganun kalaki.
This week began with the sale of First Republic. The bank was in distress. It was sold to JP Morgan.
Ayan po, mga sangkay, First Republic, ano ba ito? Yan na ba yan?
Now it appears that
Yan, Pacific Bank, mga sangkay.
PacWest and Western Alliance could be headed in the same direction. PacWest is in particularly bad shape. Yesterday, its shares dropped by more than 50%. And
Nako.
the 50% drop is a clear red flag.
So, bumaba umano sa 50% itong sinasabing Pacific Western Bank. At sinyales umano ito na ng red flag, ibig sabihin, mga sangkay, delikado pong nangyayari sa bangko na ito. So ano ba ang nangyayari sa US? Bakit ito po ay parang nagiging momentum sa kanilang bansa ngayon na pagbagsak?
This year has been bad for the bank. In all, it has lost more than 85% of its stock value.
Naku po.
Which means losses for investors, millions of dollars.
Nahihirapan na po sila yung pagdating po sa investors. Nawawalan na po sila ng mga investors, mga sangkay.
In losses, and the bleeding is still on. So PacWest is being forced to consider radical moves. The bank issued a statement, I'm quoting from it. Recently, the company has been approached by several potential partners and investors. Discussions are ongoing. The company will continue to evaluate all options to maximize shareholder value.
So yan po yung statement
What does
ng Pacific Western Bank.
Mean? It means that all options are on the table. That's what the bank is saying. It could sell its assets, it could bring in an investor, it could even consider an all-out sale.
Naku.
And these are extreme measures, and they tell you how big the crisis is. In fact, all the banks that are in trouble face the same problem, the problem of liquidity. There's a cash crunch. They don't have money. Where did the money go? Ask the US Central Bank. They call it the Federal Reserve. In recent months, the Fed has hiked interest rates, and that hike has punched a hole in the books of American banks.
Ay nako naman. Itong problema ngayon ng Amerika, mga sangkay, mukhang tumitindi na po ng tumitindi.
How did that happen? Well, these banks held many government bonds. With the rate hikes, the value of those bonds has declined. So now the banks are in trouble. And the Fed is still hiking interest rates. Yesterday, it announced another hike, the 10th one since March 2022. You know what this means for American banks? It means more pain. But the Fed chairman is not worried. He claims the US banking system is resilient.
Let me comment briefly on recent developments in the banking sector. Conditions in that sector have broadly improved since early March, and the U.S. banking system is sound and resilient. We will continue to monitor conditions in the sector. We're committed to learning the right lessons from this episode, and will work to prevent events like these from happening again.
The banking system is sound and resilient, he says. If that's the case, then why are banks collapsing? PacWest is exploring options, and Western Alliance is braving a storm. Yesterday, its stock price plunged by 62%.
Ito naman, Western Alliance, mga sangkay.
This is after a report came out that said the bank is exploring a potential sale, and that Western Alliance has hired advisors to explore options. The report also said that these deliberations are at an early stage. So the stocks began falling. Western Alliance rushed into damage control mode. It denied the report. It called it, quote-unquote, categorically false. The stock recovered, but only partially, a gain of 32%. The bank also released its deposit numbers. They're holding steady for now, but investors are increasingly wary. There are growing calls for regulatory intervention. Wall Street executives and bank analysts want the Federal Reserve to intervene. They want the central bank to take more steps to ensure more liquidity for the banks. But will that really help? And will that be enough, considering the fact that the Fed's own credibility is being questioned? The Fed chairman made an admission this week, and he said that the bank had made some mistakes.
Patay tayo dyan.
And I fully recognize
Ayan o. PacWest fell by 50%. Tapos Western Alliance Bank, ito naman mga sangkay, over 60%. Ano nangyayari sa mga malalaking bangko ng Amerika? Bakit po ito nangyayari sa kanilang bansa?
that we made mistakes. I think we've learned some new things as well, and we need to do better. And as I mentioned, I thought the report was unflinching and appropriately so. I welcome it, and I agree with and will support those recommendations. And I do feel that I'm personally accountable to do what I can to foster measures that will address the problems.
So the Fed made mistakes, and American banks paid the price for it. In the last 2 months, 3 banks have failed: Silicon Valley, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank.
Nako, nakaraang buwan pala. Akala ko 2 lang, 3 na pala itong nangyari mga sangkay na bumagsak sa Amerika. Masusundan na naman, so 5 na.
Their combined asset base was nearly $550 billion, which is not a small amount. Yet these banks could not survive. If this list grows, the US Fed will face some tough questions.
So, ayun na nga po mga sangkay. Nagsasuffer ngayon ang Amerika sa isang malaking problema pagdating po sa kanilang ekonomiya. Mga sangkay, ayan po itong dalawang Malalaking bangko po ito, Pacific Western Bank and Western Alliance Bank Corporation. So yung isa 50% yung ibinaba. Ito namang Western Alliance nasa 60%. So senyales po ito ng red flag umano ng dalawang bangko. Do sinasabi po nila mga sangkay kanina ang nagsalita na kaya pa naman pero hindi po masasabi mga sangkay na kayang i-handle ng mahabang panahon. Kasi nga po nakikita na po yung malaking chance ng pagbagsak ng dalawang bangko na ito. So magiging panglimang bangko na po ito ng Amerika just in case nababagsak. No? Naku, malaki po itong pag bumagsak pa po yung dalawang bangko na ito, malalaki sa Amerika, baka magduda na po yung marami sa mga investor doon po sa US. Lalong-lalo na po yung mga gumagamit at tumaasa pa rin po ng dollar. At sa tingin ko, alam nyo, pag bumagsak din ang dolyar, mga sangkay, lalo problema din po dyan ang ating bansa. Dahil alam naman po natin na sa dolyar din po tayo umaasa, mga sangkay. So ano po ang inyong opinion tungkol po dito? Tungkol po sa masamang kalagayan ng Amerika at patuloy na nasa momentum ng pagbagsak? I-comment nyo lamang po sa ibaba. At ngayon mga sangkay, I invite you to please subscribe my YouTube channel. Ito po ay Sangkay Revelation. Dito po ako nag-a-upload ng mga video na kapupulutan po ng kaalaman patungkol po sa mga nangyayari sa ating mundo ngayon na naipropesiya na po sa Biblia. So, ang gawin nyo lamang, hanapin nyo lamang po itong Sangkay Revelation. Kapag nakita nyo na, click the subscribe, click the bell, and click all. So, ako na po ay magpapaalam. Hanggang sa muli, this is me, Sangkay Janjan. Palagi nyo pong tatandaan that Jesus loves you. God bless everyone.